Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight. As you may know, my name is Tembi Tovela. I am the mother, I'm a wife, I'm an entrepreneur, founder of Bushlegotu Holdings, and I am a host for this show, Becoming Her, a woman empowering series, which you've made a wise decision to join us on tonight, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you for being with us tonight. Um, I think I always say, and I will say again, that the purpose of these these sessions or these talks for me came when I realized that very early in my career and in the business life that the importance of building the community and the village that you want for yourself. All right. You've got to be intentional about the community that you want for yourself, because growing up we are told that the community maybe is the neighbor, people in in our neighborhood maybe. But as I grew older, for me, that narrative was something else. And then I would advise that you form the community that you be intentional and form the community that you want for yourself and the community that you want to belong to. This could be a circle of like-minded women like yourself. This could be get a board of advisors that can assist you in the direction that you're trying to get to. This could be mentors, coaches. It could be I think that should give you the idea, and that is the community that I've built for myself, and I'm continuously building, and it has served me very well, and I trust that it will do the same for you. What the purpose of today is that we going to talk about being a mental health man. We're going to talk about issues of mental health and leading from authentic self, okay? And I am not alone. I am very excited for our guest this evening, Usis Koni. That's affectionately, she's known as Usis Koni. And she's a mental health activist. She advocates for mental health, and she heads health and wellness program for employees in the Department of Health. She is the founder of Mental Health Awareness organization in South Africa. So I'm very excited for the conversations that we're going to be having. I'm excited for the knowledge that she's going to share with us. Some of the terms, we hear of them, everybody, I personally hear everyone loosely throwing around the word, oh, so traumatized, that whatever is traumatic, and I'm traumatized. But what is this being traumatized, and what does it look like, and how do we spot it, that this was a trauma? Is it something that we can pinpoint big words like bipolar and the like. So I believe that we have the right guests for our topic tonight that has the wealth of knowledge to shed some light. Also, in that topic of mental health, we need to narrow it down to say that how do we then lead from authentic self? So she'll be sharing a lot in that as well. Speaking of leading from authentic self, I think I will share with you that what it had meant for me was that it has meant that I had to come to terms with my social anxieties. And for a long time, I was ashamed that I had social anxieties. This came, when you are raised in a Black community and thinking how my mom who raised me, she is sociable. She loves people and she is a people's person. And for me, that's the role modeling I saw when it comes to excuse me. Bye. Okay, see you. Sorry guys, this is I'm gonna try and close that door. This is when you sit behind the door, this is what happens. So where was I? So the role modeling of a social life, or how looking at how my mom was so sociable and how she loved people. She had, even today, for me, it was foreign, and I didn't understand myself with my anxieties. And that brought a lot of shame for me. And obviously, I didn't even know how to phrase it, to say, I'm struggling here. And because of this, once I was an adult, I had my very good career. And somehow my work was always around people. I had to be around people. I come from a sales and marketing background, and that meant that I need to go into meetings, I need to host guests, I needed to guests or clients, and I needed to go into meetings and frequently be with people, do presentations, scary stuff, I tell you. But because of my social anxieties, that I did not accept for myself, and that I did not own up because I couldn't identify with it, I started forming self-sabotaging patterns and behaviors. And this came about me being late for just about, a meeting, I'll be late for that. A flight, I'll be late, I will miss that flight. And because the whole 2 or 3 days prior and the same evening and a day before, me having to go and meet someone, or me having to fly somewhere, I'll just be, very uncomfortable thinking, trying to imagine how, and that just resulted in me being late on the night that I'm supposed to fly out tomorrow. Trust me, I'm gonna, because I'm so tired from carrying this thing in my head. Eventually, I wake up late, and guess what? I'm gonna miss the flight, or I'm not gonna make it on time for the meeting. And this went on for a while, and until I had to own my truth and own who I am, and accept that I struggle from social anxiety, because then I'm forming this pattern, and this pattern as a business person today, and even then as someone who is building their career, I was just not showing up well for myself. I wasn't, and that meant that now you find that people won't trust you if you don't, when you don't show up on time. If you can't keep time, people lack trust in you, and it's just a bad image. So it was until then that I had to own my truth, and actually know that, and do something about this, my social anxieties, and that I just knowing that for myself and accepting it, and saying it's okay. You are no longer a child that somebody will come and shout at you that, yeah, you late. Why are you so late? You're an adult now. There's certain things that you need to show up for yourself as the adult that you are, and make right in areas that you know that they are off leg to you. And it's not just about really, social anxieties. There are lots of triggers, and my advice is that we need to know our triggers. Know your triggers, all of them. And I know one of my triggers is also, I see a site of dirt or a disorganized area. Oh, that my chest just closes up. And those are certain triggers that you need to, it can seem like, nothing big, something very small, but you need to know your triggers, actually name them, give them names, name them one by one, to all of them, so that they lose power over you. Because I've noticed that once I've given it a name and I know what it is, I'm able to then take control and move from that. I think, without being too long, I also just want to share that it had also meant that, for me, it has also meant that I learned to communicate, which is something that I always thought I knew how to communicate, but I had, it was a struggle for me. The older I get, and the more I learn about myself, because this is a journey to self-discovery, and I'm inviting all of you to that I hear that. The name of our show is Becoming Her. So it's in these platforms that we go into a self-discovering journey with ourselves, and become the best versions of ourselves, and stay in alignment with ourselves, and become the woman that the woman of our dreams, and the woman that we've been waiting for, because that's what it's about, actually, becoming her. So also another point is that leading from an authentic place has meant for me that I had to learn to communicate. I had to learn to set boundaries, and not just for my friends, my colleagues, and other areas. It had to be also in my own home as well. because it's important to understand ourselves so that you communicate your needs properly. You know, it's gonna be very difficult for you to communicate what you need and effectively get the support if you do not understand who you are, and you know how your mind works, and how you react to certain things, um, and having communication, even in my own home, has meant for me to understand myself that, for one, I always call myself, Mina, I'm the library. I'm the library. I love reading. I love alone time. I love quiet spaces. So this is the biggest, I think 70% of my life is surrounded by quiet time, alone time, reading, you know, and without letting everything else fall apart. I mean, we are people with responsibilities. We have families. We are mothers. We are daughters, and all of that. But I had to understand that this part of my life takes this much of time, of my well-being, mental well-being. So I need to prioritize it so that I am of better service, and I'm of a better friend, a better everything, a better mom to everyone else if I prioritize this part of of myself. Um, so because I understand that I'm this kind of person and I call myself a library, um, uh, I was able to communicate this to the people in my life. And guess what? I get the right support from them because they know, and I know they know how important this is for me, to recenter and all of that. So I just, all I'm trying to say that, communicate your needs clearly, and ask communicate your needs clearly so that you get the right kind of support for whatever that whatever that brings you sanity. Prioritize it. I hear a lot of people, and I also abide by it, that it's like you have a basket of you, a basket of family, a basket of work, career, and other things. So all of these other two will not do well unless the basket of you is fulfilled. So yeah, that is the bit that I wanted to share with you briefly before Sis Connie joins us. And yeah, I am welcoming her now to share and take us through uh, this phenomenon of mental health. I am no expert. She is. So, Sis Connie, I welcome you to join us and share your knowledge with us in terms of mental health and what it means for us to lead from our authentic self.
Hi, yeah, thank you for hosting me.
Hi, sis.
Am I audible?
You are audible and we can see you.
Okay, I'm sitting on the floor.
Oh, wow. Is that the comfortable place for you? Comfortable spot for you?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
let me start by saying, Tabile, mental health or mental illness is a very broad concept.
Sure.
The reason I became a mental health activist is that many people suffer from mental health challenges and can't come out because of the stigma that is associated with mental health challenges, and the discrimination that people suffer.
Yeah.
And I'm a social worker by profession, and in my profession, I have learned that people should define their world in the way that they better understand.
Sis
And
Connie, just before we go on, are you able to just turn your camera because it can't be so. Just turn it over. Let's see until we get there.
the right spot.
Yeah,
Okay.
turn it again.
Injani manje?
I know, ayivumi. Mhlawumbe imise vele. Imise ibe straight because that's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
this better?
That's yeah. I'd rather we have that.
Thank you. I was saying that as a social worker, I have learned that people need to define their world and what they go through their own way and attach a meaning to it. And I have been molested and been raped, but I chose mental health because I've picked up that once you are defeated in your brain or in your mind, then you'll be dysfunctional in all aspects of your life. And I'm presenting mental health in a different way because I learned mental health with my own life and my own experiences, and I also learned it from my patients in in the way that it makes sense to them, in the way that it makes them feel free to want to talk about it, and in the way that they are able to source support. So the beginning of your mental health, it starts by being authentic to yourself, um, being someone that loves the truth, painful as it is, accepting your background, accepting who you are, accepting things that have happened to you that you cannot change, and try to learn new things that helps you to move forward.
Yeah.
So mental health for me is being able to identify environments that are not safe for me and being able to identify triggers that would trigger me and make me behave in a certain way in a mall where it will be perceived inappropriate, and coming out with boundaries and trying to manage those triggers. So you need to be able to know ukuthi usesikhoni uyangitriggerisha. So when she's visiting your house for 3 hours, what do you need to do so that you are able to contain that particular person for that 3 hours? For example, workplaces are exposed with a lot of personalities, and people
Yeah.
clash. They don't agree on many things, but for the purpose of work, we need to settle for things that we don't like because of this thing.
Yeah.
and even at home, we have different personalities. As you have already alluded that your mother was a sociable person, but you find yourself not to be that particular person. So how do you relate then with those people? So I normally say, because I normally say I am suffering, I have bipolar, ADHD, and depression.
Okay.
Because naturally I'm a hyperactive kind of a person,
Yeah.
but because of events that have happened to me, I happen to be suffering from depression and sometimes from being hyperactive. Uh,
Yeah.
and your depressive mode is when you then withdraw yourself, when you think about you being raped and being molested, and you want to lock yourself in the room, you want to not to talk to people. Sometimes you are angry at wrong people. I know, say I grew up as an angry young girl, and I had to get tired with being angry. You know, you become angry even also with people that don't even know your world,
Know your
with
story, yes.
people that didn't do anything to you. And you have to be authentic and also authenticity comes with listening to other people's opinion. When people perceive you as an angry person, when people perceive you as an arrogant person, when people perceive you as a bully person, you have to put a stop and reflect and say,
And
am I a bully person? And if yes, I am a bully person, how do I then work around my bulliness? What caused me to be bullied? Am I an aggressive person? You know, you look at what you lose and what you gain about with these emotions that you present to people who don't even know who you are in situations that are not appropriate. So I'm saying to people who are listening to us that when you are being perceived as a moody person, put a, and reflect. Are you a moody person? And why are you a moody person? What causes you to be moody? Are you a person who cannot survive under pressure? Or are you a person who hates men? Are you a person who hates women? Why is that? Because the negative energy in you, in my view, is the sign of mental unhealthiness. There is something that is disturbing your mental well-being, and you need
yes.
to put a stop and start addressing it. Is it your background? Are you coming from a poor family? Is there anything that you can do to change that? If no, then learn how to deal with the fact that you're coming from a poor family. So being authentic with yourself minimizes the level of pressure, the level of stress, the level of anxiety, the level of competition, the level of not being content with yourself. Why? Because I am born from a poor family, but does my poor family defines me? No. I can change my life. I can change my own family and contribute positively to my family and my village where I grew up from.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if I'm making sense.
You are making a perfect sense, and I think we can all relate. I think what you are alluding is the fact that self-awareness, self-awareness. Because if you are aware of yourself and aware of your triggers, we don't live in a perfect world. So understanding yourself is gonna help you carry the burden better.
Yes. And it
In a
helps you to be authentic because we have people that are are psychological liars. You ask them, where are you from? If is in Nelspruit, a person will not say Kabukwen. They might say, I'm coming from Selters, or I'm staying at the rest. So you are you are grandiosing in psychology. You are saying things that are not there. So you are seeing things that are not there. You would be a person who says, I'm more powerful. I know the premier. I'm related to the premier. That's, you start not being authentic with yourself, and we will then categorize you in a particular class. You know, in social work, we normally don't diagnose, we are encouraged to deal with the person in an environment. That is why I'm saying we look at you as a person in an environment, and how you grew up, what was happening in your village, and what are the things that happened to you, and how do we then address those issues? How do you then face these issues? So we have spoken about self-aware and accepting who you are, and facing the things that have hurt you. If you've been discriminated by your neighbors, if your father didn't love you, if your mother rejected you, how do we then face this challenge that makes you have an inferiority complex, that makes you not have confidence, that makes you to have overconfidence, that makes you to be a liar just to try and fit in because you were rejected, because you were bullied, because your family is classified as a poor family, a family that out of it nothing can come out.
So, Sis Connie, how then we're talking about awareness. If somebody is in the audience today, or someday gets to be privileged enough to see our conversation, and they are absolutely clueless about how their mental health, or how their background impacts the way that they are. And I'm saying that the change, the will to change is there, but they are unaware. How can one then, from this conversation today, be able to start the journey where they are a little bit aware about how, their background or events that happened in their life? It could be a failure of some sort, whether it's a failure of marriage, whether it's a failure in the workplace. How can that person then say to themselves, or be able to spot that it's a lack on their end, that they need to start doing something different?
I think number one, people need to invest in knowing themselves, so that you know how you think, your thinking process. Once you start finding yourself lacking concentration, when you were a person that used to concentrate and focus and complete task when you do task, and a person that does not struggle in decision making, and a person that does not find it very difficult, to keep, to keep up with friends, to socialize. So the sooner you find yourself withdrawing from people, being angry, your emotions have changed, and the sooner you find that you are not completing tasks, the sooner that you realize that you are overcompensating, and you are not that kind of a person, start realizing that there's something wrong with you. I normally say, Tabile, people must normalize going for psychotherapy, normalize having someone that you talk to, it may be a friend, it may be a colleague or a professional, but I would prefer professionals so that you feel safe in disclosing or discussing a lot of things. And when you normalize psychotherapy, it's like taking care of yourself. It has to do with self-care. Because imoto yakho BMW that you are driving, you will not take it to Toyota when it is having problems, and you will not drive it but so much kilometers because you know what it may service. The same with you. You need to check yourself. Go to a psychologist, go to a social worker, check yourself. And never think that the issues of mental health are demonic. And Tabile, that is where I come from, because as a pastor, people come to church, they are going through divorce. Remember, when you get married, no one applies for a divorce. Obviously, when you go through divorce, you go through some emotions, your feelings, your thinking, and your behavior will be different. And you'll find that in the church, you will be prayed for and not be referred to professionals so that they start dealing with you. If they have to put you on medication, they put you on medication. If they have to source support for you, they source support. So that is why we have challenges of mental health, because we are more on diagnostic than dealing with the real issue. People are more on khona o na le depression, mamang o na le bipolar, but
Yes, yes.
we live in an anxious world. There's high unemployment. COVID has brought problems. People have actually has not brought problems, has opened those cracks that has,
Exposed.
yes, as exposed those problems that has been there and that we are not dealing with. And and we see that the unemployment rate being high and divorce. How do we then deal with the unemployment rate, unemployment in a positive way, that people are able to become creative in their own world and start doing something? So that is why I am a mental health activist, to say, let us put the bipolar that side. Uh, let's talk about what makes your thoughts to be high sometimes and low sometimes. When you are in a depressive mode, what happens to you? And when you are in a very hyperactive mode, what would have happened to you? What is it that you feel? What is it that we can do to assist you? What that then we can do to also get support around the community and the society. And the reason I'm saying this is because we are unable to resolve issues of mental health because Connie is bipolar, and because it's bipolar, we feel it cannot be resolved. There are mental health diseases that cannot be reversed, like our dementia. But with
Yes.
people who have depression, they can be in depression and be out of it and be normal. Uh, People with bipolar, they can be in medication and some can stop medication. But research has shown that the more you stay on medication, there are side effects. Hence, my angle of mental health is be true to yourself, know what triggers, know what you hate, know your weaknesses, know when you need help. Make sure that you always go to a psychologist, a social worker to fix you, deal with you, that you become that authentic person that you also enjoy to become. That
To be.
authentic person, that your environment is positive when you are present.
Sis Connie, what I'm getting that you are saying is that Maybe I could, for the lack of a better word, I could use it as read energies around situations that if it evokes a certain negative emotion in you, that's your homework.
Exactly.
You need to
When I
dial into that emotion.
exactly, Tabile, when I was a young social worker, I did a lot of removals of children. Why? Because I was not healed. I
Ah,
every environment that presented a risk to a child, I would try to protect that child, only to find that as I was growing, I realized that, but I was protecting myself from what has
no.
happened. Because there is, as much as uh, this child is going through this, removing children from their parents may not be the only solution. So you need to dig deeper and deal with the parents, and assist the parents on how to address whatever is happening in their homes, that the child can grow in an environment that is safe and positive, and they become the better them.
I'm with you. So, Connie, talk us through a little bit about bipolar and another thing, traumas. I mean, it's used loosely that, oh, I got so traumatized. What is this trauma? And in terms of bipolar as well, um, I learned bipolar from I was in my early 20s. My boss, I learned the word bipolar because apparently my boss had bipolar. And shoo, I've never seen that side of you. You say that you are bipolar. I've never, ever seen that side of you. But she would take you through an emotional roller coaster. Within 3 hours, it would be all seasons and all the weathers, volcano and summer and all of that. So I feel like I've experienced like the extreme person that dealt with bipolar, and yeah, they are on medication sometimes. I hope the medication and the treatments have improved since then, because in my early 20s it's been quite a long time. Yeah.
Bipolar is a mood disorder. It's like depression, ne? And its characteristics are that a person will have mood swings or moods that fluctuates,
Okay.
and you will be having depressive moods, and sometimes you'll have moods that are elevated, but are elevated in an abnormal way. That is why you have a roller coaster that in 3 hours it's four seasons. We are in Cape Town, it's rainy, it's stormy, it's what. So the other moods are elevated, but in an abnormal way. So that is the definition of a bipolar. When do you know that you have bipolar? When people are saying you have moods, you must know that you have bipolar. When people
Okay.
start saying when you are happy, you want everybody to be happy, and when you are sad, you want everybody to be sad. You must know that you have moods that are fluctuating. You are depressive. Other days you are very
Hey.
elevated, but in an abnormal way. That is bipolar. And I crafted a story, ne? Tabile. There's of a boy who suffered depression, so bipolar. It says Sipo is a 20-year-old boy, and he in his first year at the university. He's experiencing difficulty, and he can't cope. And the difficulty that he's experiencing is as follows: the university work, the work at school is too much. So he's got workload pressure, the pressure to fit in at the university and make new friends. And then he began to behave in certain way. He could not sleep. he started not sleeping, and then he would stay the whole night without sleeping, and sometimes he would wake up at night and do workabout in the university. Then Sipho started thinking, having these fantasies that he's a big person, he controls the university, he knows big people, there's unemployment, there's poverty at university, people are struggling, and he has this idea that he will be able to resolve those kind of problems. So you can hear from my story that this person is going through pressure and they don't sleep. So because they don't sleep, they're awake at night. If you can be awake the whole night and be awake during the day, it's not a normal way of living. You will start doing things that people are not supposed to do. Like Sipho, who start walking around at night in the neighborhood, and then tomorrow he tells people that Yena is Mandela, Yena is related to the premier, Yena he can solve unemployment, Yena is very rich. So lo muntu lo uyezwa nje ukuthi uya grandiosa, and they uba ne-energy that is not normal. You feel like you can I don't know how your boss is, but these people, they've got
energy. Nobody can match. Listen, Sis Connie, throughout my whole life, career life, I mean, she's no longer my boss. She was one of my first bosses. But Begane energy of note. So, of all the bosses that I've worked for, and she was brilliant. She was intelligent as well. And I always say that she trained a lot of us, because much as we didn't understand ukuthi bipolar yini, but the way she used to have an energy, you had to match her energy all the time. So of course we not struggling with her kind of mental illness. We know when to stop and whatnot, but there's something that came out of that amongst my colleagues. We talk about it even that, so basically it's just that vele yena bekane energy eningi.
And when they talk, these people, they talk too much and very fast. And even they are very reckless. The behavior becomes so reckless. This boy, the story that I've written is that he will race his mother's car around the neighborhood. So when they do gambling, they believe that they will win. They are engaging in risky behavior, and even are engaging in sexual behaviors that are unprotected, and they can even stop. If they have chronic ailment like HIV, they may even stop taking, and you may confuse them with someone who's taking cannabis. These people are taking dagga. That is why you find abantwana that are hyperactive, abazali babo, but yazi ungathi udakiwe and akakanathi. So this child une problem, ufuna attention, and many they advance. If umfazi, they advance men, and if indoda, they advance women. So baba nama problems around sexual harassment cases, things like that. So that is how you look at the person where bipolar. How do these people think? Get you find your boss was very hyperactive, but not focused and does not concentrate and does not finish the job.
Nothing. Yes.
He doesn't get anything done. His thoughts are very fast. he struggles himself to keep up with them. So you need to know yourself, because once you forget, me now always say, hey, by the way, I've got flights of ideas. Because if you sometimes you can't catch up with what I've said, and you say, so Scott, what have you said? I'll say I forget. But I mean, I speak very fast. So I know when I need to cool down and take my medication and all that.
And that comes from awareness as well.
Yes, because that is why I'm saying it's not about the diagnosis, it's about knowing yourself. When you start not completing the task at work, it means you are getting paid for mahal. When you start having the rage in you unnecessary, you think you can do things like that without having hindrances. It's abnormal behavior. And when you start making decisions that are not correct, you'll find these people is either at church, they're over giving, they can give the pastors their houses, they can give the pastors the cars without thinking about it. And because we don't know this kind of mental ailments, I know people who have given their homes and their cars, only to find that by the time that they were giving their homes and their cars, they were mentally ill. Some, they would even resign at work. And at that point, it's because they've even lost interest, or they feel they want to solve the problem of the world. And the feeling thereof will be often that these people experience high level of energy and they come across as hyperactive.
Sis Connie, just to come in there, how do we then, as the community, as someone listening today that has a family member close to them, whether it's their child, whether it's their parent or their spouse even, that is going through, or not even going through, but who struggles maybe with depression, issues of depression and bipolar, because I understand this can bring a lot of weight in the relationship, whether a spouse or as a parent. Is there any kind of, and I know that in terms of patients they get medication, but I feel like something has to be said for a spouse that has a partner that struggles with mental health, or a child that struggles with mental health, because there's been lots of incidents with mental health in children as well. I mean, we live in the changing time. Everything is fast. Technology has taken over. What kind of support and what kind of, maybe support that this kind of spouse or this parent or a caring friend can sort after, because this can be exhausting for someone that has a member of their family going through this. But if you are that support, what kind of support can you seek as a support to this person?
There are different options of managing mental health challenges. We would provide psychoeducation. What is psychoeducation? Is when we sit down with you, we teach you about the condition that you might have. Like if it's depression, we'll know that you lose interest on the things that you love, you become irritable, you don't eat, or you eat too much, you don't sleep, or you sleep too much. Then we educate you. It's called psychoeducation. Even if it's anxiety, they will give you education about what is an anxiety. So the person who supports me need to understand the kind of symptoms that I will present.
What you are going through.
Yes, if it's bipolar, it's what I've spoken about. If it's anxiety, you'll find that this person, they're just afraid of nothing. They don't want to go out because somehow they think people are waiting for them to kill them. And it leads also to panic attacks. So you get educated on what is that. And on Google, the information is there. You look and say, my wife or my daughter has been diagnosed with bipolar, or these are the signs. And number two, there's also medication, mood stabilizers. So if you see someone who's presenting with those symptoms, get help for them, involve professionals. So there will be mood stabilizers if the condition needs to be stabilized with medication. Then doctors, psychiatrists will provide medication. Number three, healthy lifestyle changes. You just have to learn how to manage stress, set boundaries, eat healthy, sleep, and do what you like, exercise. And psychological, you can join support like this program of yours. You just join in and hear what Abuses Koni are saying, and identify a family member that you trust, and a friend that you trust who can be a support, and the church that understands issues of mental health, and psychotherapy, where these things are going to be explored in a professional way to hear, as I've said, what triggers you, what causes you to close yourself in the house and not wanting to see people sometimes. What makes you angry? Why do you scream when people are saying 1, 2, 3? Sorry. So you can help a person by ensuring that you familiarize yourself with those things. But Tabile, we must also not forget that, and I know many people are not going to like this.
Yeah.
Mental health can also be fake, and people who have mental health challenges, they are not easy to be managed, and they can be manipulative, especially those who don't have chronic, who are not suicidal and all that.
Yes.
That is why I would advise families to remove the names and treat a person as they are, and not attach these people with a name, so that these people also learn to live in a normal environment without family members upholding the name Connie is a depressed person. Because who is not depressed today? All of us
True.
are through challenges, so everybody is depressed. So I know, I have seen people manipulating people because it is known that they are bipolar, so they can insult people, they can do what
Yes.
they want because they have bipolar. So
It's
hence,
declared that they are bipolar. Yeah.
hence I don't deal too much with names. I deal too much with your thinking process, how you think, how you feel, how you behave. Then look for help. If you are a clean person and you are no longer, if I enter Tabile's house and the house is upside down and Tabile is dressed in the colors are not coordinating, and she's has not got her hair, I must know that Tabile is not this kind of a person, and reach out to this
Yes.
person, support these people, help them without putting names, because this name, they either put them to more risk or expose self risk, or expose them to more risk. Because if a person is just known as a bipolar person, this person can also be raped, and the person who have raped this person can refuse, and we might say maybe because we are cooler.
Yes.
So we need to treat them as normal people, that we reduce this stigma and discrimination, that they also learn to survive and learn to manage life with their condition. Just because mental health challenges, it is like high blood. So if a person where high blood, medication, healthy, exercise, he's more prone to more risk. So we really need to make sure that our children, our husbands, our wives, we treat them as normal, because it also it trigger a divorce. A man can cheat and blame bipolar, you know. What my wife is bipolar. A woman can cheat and blame bipolar, or they can beat children and blame, or they can drink themselves to death and blame bipolar. These are conditions that can be managed. We have doctors, social workers, psychologists, churches, and friends, and the internet is there. Let's talk about these things without putting really those names. That is why people who are using, who are taking medication, we are calling them mental health users. And that is why we're talking mental health challenges, because all of us will go through stress. Traumas are events that of lifetime that happen suddenly. You know, you lose a child unexpectedly. You become involved in an accident. You know, you witness someone stepping someone, and even with our TVs, things that are happening, the guns that are happening in the TV, we are exposed to traumatic events on the TV. So you must know what triggers you. I mean, if you know what you will not sleep. Why watch that movie? You should not. But there are some that we cannot avoid. You know, death of a family member, you being raped, you know, being attacked, being raped. There's always in South Africa. You see, we are already living in a traumatic community.
No, Sis Connie, thank you so much. I hear you. I hear you 100%. I think for anyone of our audience that has a member in the family, somebody close to them, you know now that you owe it to yourself as well to check in with their professionals in order for you to stay strong, being the support of your loved one that needs your support. And I think, Sis Connie, we appreciate your input. You've shared so much. We are so blessed to drink from your well of knowledge. And we are closing. We've just before load shedding happens, we're gonna run and just to wrap it up. I think self-awareness is the biggest thing that Sis Connie emphasized on, and much as soon as you are aware, you will know which journey to take and the journey that leads to healing. But with that said as well, it's very important to know that you are never fully healed. You're going to stay a student of your own master. You're going to be the student throughout your life where you learn to master each and every bit of area that you will discover, because this is a lifetime investment and journey. So you will never be fully healed, and that is okay. You know, it's important to give yourself time and space to replenish. That is essential, and you know, treat yourself with grace. And just as we close, I would like to say that on the days that you don't know what to choose your mental health. And thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate you spending time with us and just forming part of this community. Yes, good night and take care of self, take care of mental health. Sis Connie, cheers. See you on the other side. Thank you. And we are seeing you on Saturday with the big event that you are hosting. Sis Connie hosts annual events on mental health. Saturday is one of those. Which is happening at the capital Mbombela. So if you are within the vicinity, please come out. We will be there and hearing some more, getting some more from other professionals as well. So yeah, no, thank you so much, everyone. Sis Connie?
Thanks, Sabile. So there will be people who talk about depression, bipolar, unpack it for people there.
Yes.
It's gonna be lit.
No, definitely. We're looking forward to it. The lineup is really, really interesting. And thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you on the next one again. For now, good night.